All right, folks, we're going to talk about the head and neck arteries. Again, the head and neck arteries. And again, remember, arteries, simply just the vessels that take oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. Learning objectives, anatomical locations of head and neck arteries, purpose for these arteries, and we're going to talk about strokes and the fact that there are two different types of strokes. Okay, so here is basically a schematic, as you see. And let's see which color do I want to use. All right, yellow. All right, so we have the common carotid artery. All right, so that common carotid artery is here. All right, so he's just simply just carrying. Okay, maybe I should get a different color here. This common carotid artery, all right, is carrying oxygenated blood from the heart to the head to bring oxygenated blood, nutrients, and so on and so forth to the parts of the head, throughout the face, the brain, etc., etc. And then it, right here, all right, bifurcates. And then you have a situation here where that it goes to the external carotid artery. And then it goes here into the internal carotid artery. All right. So you have, of course, like the right side and the left side. So same thing on both sides. All right. So the internal carotid carries blood to structures inside the skull, including the brain. The external carotid artery brings blood to structures outside the skull, primarily the face. So outside the skull, primarily like in the facial region. All right. So again, common carotid artery, all right, splits up into the internal and external carotid arteries. Just showing the same thing, all right. Basically, here's the common, and then external splits off into internal. Again, it's just showing the schematic of how the arteries and all these arteries have names. Just splits off, bringing oxygenated blood to organs and tissues and cells. All right, so we have the maxillary artery, largest terminal branch of the external artery. All right, so that's right here in this area. All right, facial artery, one of the 8 branches of the external carotid artery. Okay, so again, carotid artery is going to split off to 8 different branches. The facial is just one of them, and there's a number of others there, right? So again, emphasizing again on the external, all right, going outside, and then the internal, okay, going to the inside, all right. And you have your superficial. Usually superficial is pretty much again kind of closer towards the top, all right, temporal artery, all right, like the temple area right here. All right, cerebral arterial circle, or we call it the circle of Willis. All right, so again, still talking about the head, all right, and we have the vascular artery, and this artery is a part of the blood system, all right, for the brain and central nervous system. So again, this area we call the circle of Willis. And again, like I said, this whole complex of the circle of Willis and just everything else is just for the purpose of bringing oxygenated blood to the upper parts of the body, specifically here to the head and neck. All right, and the circle of Willis is actually located towards the bottom part of the brain, like the brain stem. All right, so this kind of gets more in detail in terms of the different components of the circle of Willis. All right, so you have the internal carotid artery right here. All right, we call this whole portion the circle of Willis because this just circles around. All right, anterior communicating artery right here. All right, anterior cerebral artery right here. And again, all these arteries are just simply bringing oxygenated blood to different parts of the brain. The middle cerebral artery right here. posterior communicating artery here, posterior cerebral artery right here. All right, vascular artery right here that I mentioned. All right, so again, like I said, basically circle of Willis is basically an arrangement of interconnected vascular channels that ensure that that the oxygenated blood flows to the brain continuous, unimpeded. All right, because of course all organs are important, but of course, hey, we're talking about the your top 2, top 3 organs. Yeah, your brain is definitely in the top 2. All right, again, this is showing the bottom part, okay, of the brain. We're looking at the brain stem here. All right, and you have the middle cerebral, all right, ophthalmic, anterior cerebral, and posterior, all right, communicating. Again, it's part of the circle of Willis right here. All right, so this is probably like more so the inferior portion of the brain on the bottom. All right, let's talk about strokes. 2 types, ischemic strokes. That's where you have like the clots, unfortunately, and that's when the blood vessel supplying the blood to the brain is blocked. And that happens in around, I think I was reading like about, and this number very may not be exact because you read different sources and they'll kind of give you different numbers, but in this squiggly line, usually like in mathematics, when you do a squiggly line like that in front of a number, that means that implies about or somewhere around. So around 83% of strokes are based upon blood clots. All right, hemorrhagic strokes, where that it's bleeding, happens when a weakened blood vessel ruptures. All right, that pretty much accounts for the rest, more or less about 17%. So again, I'm not saying that this is a hard, fast number. That's why I had put the squiggly line there. Okay, but one thing is for sure, the vast majority of strokes are as a result of the clots, so are the ischemic strokes. All right. So again, this is just showing that where that you have blockage of the vessel. All right. Blockage of the vessel, lack of blood to the area. So here you have blockage. All right. This could be a plaque buildup right here, and blocking in this maybe some sort of thrombosis, just a blocking. And that can happen actually right here in the brain, like in any of the arteries of the brain, unfortunately. It can even happen with the, carotid or one of the arteries leading up to the brain. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like right there in the brain itself, but it can be actually in the artery leading up to the brain. In the hemorrhagic stroke, that's simply where you have like rupture of the blood vessels. So here, okay, there's no blockage there, but right here you have this blood vessel getting weak. Okay, and it just kind of bulges. Sometimes it happens like in the case of an aneurysm, and then it ruptures. So what happens is that basically the blood that was designed to go, let's say, downstream to supply oxygen to the brain and its tissues, the brain and its tissues not getting nearly as much blood. Of the oxygenated blood. So that would be a problem, and it's going to be a problem because now blood is seeping into the brain tissue itself, and that's going to cause a problem as well. Just another schematic here where again you have blockage. And again, the blockage can occur maybe here, here. It depends. It's going to be various, or just again, like I said, somewhere up here. So again, basically this is where that you have a clot preventing blood flow, and then here hemorrhagic stroke is really where that you have a rupture of the blood vessels, and that's going to prevent the necessary amount of blood getting to the other parts of the brain to supply them with the oxygen and food. All right, thank you.